All right, so the decision on how to cut out my mandala design is generally based on the design itself. So in this case, right, I've got this somewhat of a sunflower edge, but I don't want to necessarily freeform cut that because that's a lot of different cuts. So in this case, I'm probably going to do a circle cutout. This one, I'm going to do a square. So I don't necessarily need this much white space all the way around that one. So when I do that, I'm going to make it a little bit of a smaller square. On this one, I could do a freeform cut. So let me show you how to do each one. First, on the circle, what I'm going to use is a compass. All right. And I'm going to take the safety compass, and the good thing is it's see-through, all right? It's transparent. I'm going to line up that ring right in the middle of my mandala design, right there. Okay? I'm going to do it by eye, right there in the middle. Then I'm going to put my index finger down on it. Next thing I want to do is I want to look through the compass and see where the edge of the design is. And I want to give it a little bit of space, a little bit of like a halo of white. So this hole right here is only a tiny bit off of that. So I'm going to jump to the next hole right there. So when I jump to that one, I just put my pencil in, and I can see that it leaves the same amount of space all the way around as I draw the circle. And I can see that gives me the circle around the form. Now all I have to do is just cut that out. Once I cut it out, it gives me a good idea of, what can I mount this on? What kind of colored papers? Look at the colored papers that I have here, and this is going to give me a halo of a color. So when I use paper to mount my mandala on, I want it to accent not just some of the color that might be inside the design, but I also want to think about it as colors that I might use in my finished design. So for now, I want to trace another circle that's a little bit bigger than the mandala circle, so I could mount this onto that color blue. To do that, I would just do the same thing that I just did. I would just line it up to one side of the paper so I can have some leftover scrap if somebody else needs some scrap. And maybe put it here so I know that I'm going to have a little bit of enough halo going around. So do the same thing, line it up in the middle, put my index finger down, and see where the edge of this is here. Now if I come out a little bit right there, it gives me a thin strip of blue, and I'll just draw around that and then cut that circle out to create the halo of color around this. On objects that are squares, okay, what I can do to trim it down is I can use one of the clear triangles. They're over by the papers. If I look through the triangle and by eye try to create space, all right, you see this line here is evenly distanced from this corner, and then the same thing on this side. It's about 1/4 of an inch visually from the edge of this to the design. So if I line it up like that, I can take my pencil and I can go there with the pencil and I can go here with the pencil. All right, so that gives me a boundary there. Then I just rotate it and I do the same thing here. All right, try to get the same distance to the left and off the top using the 90-degree side of the triangle. And now I can just cut that out with scissors or with the rotary cutter so I have something that comes down in size. So now my mandala can become one where it's, I could mount it on a square, or my mandala could become a diamond shape, but I would want to mount it onto a piece of colored paper that worked with the design inside, just to be creative that way. All right. Now the freeform one, okay, obviously there's a variety of ways that you can cut out freeform. If you're doing a freeform, just please, whatever you do, make sure you leave enough of a highlight, okay? If you're following the shape of the outer edge of the design, leave enough white. Don't cut right up against the edge. For example, this is a really strong one, and it's a simple triangular cut that the student went from the point of this one and then just made these simple triangles, all right? if I wanted to halo this with a background, what I could do is, if I flip it over on the back, I could just freehand draw, and I'm going to put this as my starting point. So I'm going to put a little arrow here, and I'm going to put just a mark on the actual mandala part right there. So I know that these are the two parts that line up. So then I go like this. So I'm just basically drawing the halo around it. So I could cut that out on the back of it, and it won't affect, the pencil lines won't affect the front. Okay? So I'm just drawing that out. And then I could cut that out, and I could mount it on the blue colored side and have a halo of that blue, or whatever color I choose, inside. All right, another option is, that was a freehand freeform cut. If I was going to cut something like this out, I could use a straight edge and come off of the edge of the design a little bit, and light pencil marks, right? I'm trying to keep the same distance away, so I could just go around it this way. If I want to do these two, since they're on the same horizontal plane, I can do those two together, there and there. See that? And then I could just continue all the way around. Just always eyeing up this space here, and then drawing the mark. Looking through the tracer, or looking through the triangle, and seeing how I can get all the way around that form, and then I could cut on that line to give myself a nice freeform shape.